ओमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. We are reading the book Beyond Birth and Death by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We are reading from page number 3 from the chapter 3. This material world is certified by Krishna, the Creator, as Dukkhalayam, full of miseries. How can then we make it comfortable? Is it possible to make this world comfortable by the so-called advancement of science? No, this is not possible. As a result, we do not even wish to know what these miseries are. The miseries, as stated before, are birth, old age, disease, and death. And because we cannot make a solution to them, we try to set them aside. Science has no power to solve these miseries that are always giving us trouble. Instead, they divert our attention into making spaceships or atom bombs. The solution to these problems is given here in Bhagavad Gita. If one attains to Krishna's platform, he does not have to return again to this earth of birth and death. We should try to understand that this place is full of miseries. It takes a certain amount of developed consciousness to understand this. Cats and dogs and hogs cannot understand that they are suffering. Man is called a rational animal, but this rationality is being used to further his animalistic propensities instead of finding out how to get liberation from this miserable condition. Here, Krishna explicitly states that one who comes to him will never be born to suffer miseries again. Those great souls who come to him have attained the highest perfection of life, which alleviates the living entity from the suffering of conditional existence. Right? So Srila Prabhupada is referring to the verse in the previous page where Krishna mentions Mamupetya Punarjanma Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam Napnuvanti Punarjanma Napnuvanti Mahatmanaha Samsiddhim Paramam Gataha. So Mamupetya Punarjanma Na Apnuvanti Mahatmanaha. Those great souls who attain me, who come to me, they never take Punarjanma. Na apnuvanti punarjanma mahatmana. They are great souls. Mamupetya, once they come to me, they will not take punarjanma. Where? In dukkhalayam ashashvatam, in a place which is filled with miseries and which is temporary. Tam siddhim paramam gataha, because they have attained the highest perfection of their life. Sam siddhim. And what is that? Paramam Gataha, attaining the supreme destination of the abode of Lord Shri Krishna. So many times people, they want to make this world comfortable by their efforts. But Krishna, the creator himself, has certified this place as a place of miseries. Dukkhalayam. Alaya means a home. And this material world is a home of miseries. So you cannot avoid miseries staying in the home where there is always miseries. You cannot stay dry by jumping into a river or an ocean. You cannot say, I will jump into the ocean and simultaneously I will jump and I'll remain wet. I'll remain dry. Not possible, right? So as soon as you jump in the water, you will get wet. So similarly, you come into this material world means you will be disturbed, tortured by different kinds of miseries of this material world. There are again miseries are also the four basic miseries of this material world are birth, death, old age, and disease. Birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Apart from this, the miseries are categorized into three. Adi Daivika Klesha, Adi Bhautika Klesha, and Adi Atmika Klesha. So Adhyatmika Klesha, Adi Bhautika Klesha, and Adi Daivika Klesha. Adhyatmika Klesha refers to the kleshas or the miseries what we suffer because of our own body and mind. This is called as Adhyatmika Klesha. And then next comes Adi Bhautika Klesha, the miseries we suffer because of other living entities. It may be other humans or our relatives or friends or any other jivas, mosquitoes, viruses, bacteria. Sometimes somebody walks on the road and suddenly a bull comes and thrashes him. These things comes in the category of Adi Bhautika Klesha. And another category of Klesha is called as Adi Daivika Klesha. Daivika means these miseries are given by the arrangements of the different devatas who are controlling the different systems in this material world. They are called as Adi Daivika Klesha. Right? The natural calamities, floods, tsunami, drought. So, like this, there are so many miseries we are surrounded by in this material. This is why Krishna's words can never be wrong. A creator of something cannot say anything wrong about his creation because he is the one, because he has created it, he must be knowing in and out of his creation. So when Krishna is telling about his creation, we have to accept it. Foolishly, if we go to try to attempt to try to make this world comfortable, a happy place to live, no, you cannot. Many have tried and they have gone to the dust. And now also many are trying. They think themselves as big, intelligent people, and they say that we will stop death, we will stop aging, we will make this world comfortable, we will make this world happy. Many have tried and gone. These people also who are claiming today, they'll also try, and one day they will also go to dust. But reality will remain that this world is full of miseries. Artificially, we should not try to make it. Instead, we should try to find a permanent solution for the unhappiness of the jiva, of the atma. And that comes when we surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And at the end of our life, we transfer ourselves to that place which is Sukhalayam, which is Shashvatam, That is the permanent abode, the eternal spiritual world of Krishna. Krishna comes to this material world repeatedly to call us, to invite us, just like a kind father. If the son has left home, father will go and approach the son and call him back. My dear son, please come back home. You have good comfort here. Don't go and spoil your life outside. Don't struggle for your meal. Come home and your comfortable life is there. Similarly, as a kind father, Krishna comes down to this material world repeatedly in different incarnations, and his only purpose is to call us back to our real home. That is the spiritual world, right? So, understanding this, we should prepare ourselves to transfer ourselves to such a life where we will not suffer anymore. Our life is eternal, and the happiness we enjoy will be eternal. So, cats and dogs and hawks cannot understand this philosophy, but man is called as rational animal, right? But this rationality is being used to further his animalistic propensities instead of finding out how to get liberation from this miserable condition, right? Animals cannot understand this philosophy. Human is given some brain, but that human with brain also, he is misusing that brain, that intelligence, to further his animalistic propensities. What a human is doing today with his given intelligence, God gifted intelligence, he is trying to enjoy more and more sensual pleasures, which will take him more and more towards hell. Sense gratification is the business of animals, it is not the business of humans. Regulation, controlling of the senses and the mind is the life of a human. Tapo divyam putraka yena Sattvam shuddhet brahma saukyam tvanantam. Rishabdeva, he teaches his children that human form of life is meant for divya tapasya, transcendental tapasya, austerity. It is not meant to use it like cats, hawks, and dogs, just in sense gratification. No. One of the differences between Krishna and an ordinary being is that an ordinary entity can be only in one place at a time, but Krishna can be everywhere in the universe and yet in his own abode simultaneously. Krishna's abode in the transcendental kingdom is called Goloka Vrindavana. The Vrindavana in India is that same Vrindavana descended on this earth. When Krishna descends himself by his own internal potency, his Dhamma or abode also descends. In other words, when Krishna descends on this earth, he manifests himself in that particular land. Despite this, Krishna's abode remains eternally in the transcendental sphere in the Vaikunthas. In this verse, Krishna proclaims that one who comes to his abode in the Vaikunthas never has to take birth again in the material world. Such a person is called Mahatma. The word Mahatma is generally heard in the West in connection with Mahatma Gandhi. But we should understand that Mahatma is not the title of a politician. Rather, Mahatma refers to the first class Krishna conscious man who is eligible to enter into the abode of Krishna. The Mahatma's perfection is this: to utilize the human form of life, and the resources of nature to extricate himself from the cycle of birth and death. This is a Mahatma. This is the real definition of Mahatma. This is his perfection. To utilize the human form of life and the resources of nature to extricate himself, to liberate himself from the cycle of birth and death. Otherwise, he cannot be called as a Mahatma. An intelligent person knows that he does not want miseries, but they are inflicted upon him by force, right? We do understand. We don't want miseries. But miseries come. Miseries are inflicted upon us by nature, by our own karma. As stated before, we are always in a miserable condition due to this mind, body, natural disturbances, or other living entities. There is always some kind of misery. There is always some kind of misery inflicted upon us. This material world is meant for misery. Unless the misery is there, we cannot come to Krishna consciousness. Miseries are actually an impetus and help to elevate us to Krishna consciousness. An intelligent man questions why these miseries are inflicted on him by force. A really intelligent person, he makes this inquiry. I don't want miseries, but why these miseries are inflicted upon me? However, modern civilization's attitude is let me suffer, let me cover it by some intoxication. That's all, right? What modern civilization, the people of modern world do, they cover the miseries, they try to cover the miseries by some intoxication. In fact, if you hear from any person who drinks every day, you go and ask him, why do you drink? No. The most common answer of any drunkard, right? Whether he is a village person or a person living a posh life in a metro city, any person he may be, from any class, his answer is, I want to forget. I want to forget my pain. I want to forget my misery. That is why I drink. But as soon as the intoxication is over, the misery is returned. Right? Just because night, the person drinks to forget his problems, the boss is scolding in the office, the family members are fighting at home, some property issue, the neighbor is fighting for the property. Children are troubling to get them, different things which the father cannot afford. Because of all these tensions, the pressure, father drinks. But he drinks, he forgets, and he sleeps. But what about the next morning? He wakes up with all those miseries again ringing in his head. What is the use? It is not possible to make a solution to the miseries of life by artificial intoxication. The solution is made by Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is also an intoxication, which makes you forget the miseries for the rest of eternity. If you can take it up seriously, Krishna consciousness may make you forget everything of this material, not to speak of the temporary pains and pleasures. Right? It can make you eternally happy, even being in this material world. Not that you will become eternally happy after dying. No, while living, if you practice Krishna consciousness, you can experience the real happiness. It is possible. One may point out that although the devotees of Krishna are trying to enter Krishna's planet, our interest is in going to the moon, right? Isn't going to the moon also perfection? Some people may ask this. Yeah. Yes. The tendency to travel to other planets is always present in the living entity. One name for the living entity is Sarvagata, which means one who wants to travel everywhere. Sarvagata means one who goes everywhere. Travel is part of the nature of the living entity. The desire to go to the moon is not a new thing. The yogis also are interested in entering the higher planets, but in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna points out that this will not be of any help. Trying to travel to different other planets, moon or Mars or wherever, it will not help. How? Krishna says, "A Brahma Bhuvanal Lokah Punaravartino Arjuna Mamupetya tu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate." So by traveling like this, you may sometimes be able, by your yogic perfection, You may become able to reach topmost planetary system of this universe, that is Brahmaloka. Krishna says, or to speak of moon or sun or Mars or any other planet, Krishna is speaking about Brahmaloka, topmost planet in the material world. Krishna says, even if you go there by all the efforts, Punaravartino Arjuna, you have to come back. You cannot stay there for long. But Mamupetyatu Kaunteya, O Kunti Putra Arjuna Kaunteya, Mamupetya, once one comes to me, Punarjanma na vidyate. He will not come back to this material world to take birth again in this land of miseries. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are the places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. One who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. The universe is divided into higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. The Earth is considered to be a member of the middle planetary system. Krishna points out that even if one enters into the highest planet of all, called Brahmaloka, there is still repetition of birth and death. Other planets in the universe are full of living entities. We should not think that we are here and that all other planets are vacant. No, all other planets there are living entities. It is said even on the sun is a globe of fire, but still it is said there are living entities presided by the sun god Surya Narayana. His name is Vivashwan. Govinda. From experience, we can see that no place on earth is vacant of living entities. If we dig deep down into the earth, we find worms. If we go deep into the water, we find aquatics. If we go into the sky, we find so many birds. How is it possible to conclude? In fact, recently I was hearing in some news that there is a specific bird which lives in the air. It grows in the air, it reproduces in the air, it eats in the air, and everything is done in the air. It continuously flies. You can Google it and check. So, wherever you go, there are living entities. Nowhere it is vacant. How is it possible to conclude that other planets have no living entities? But Krishna points out that even if we enter into those planets where great demigods reside, we will still be subjected to death. Again, Krishna repeats that upon reaching his planet, one need not take birth again. We should be very serious about attaining our eternal life, full of bliss and knowledge. We have forgotten that this is actually our aim of life, our real self interest. Why have we forgotten? We have simply been entrapped by the material glitter, by skyscrapers, by big factories, and political play. Although we know that, however big we build skyscrapers, we will not be able to live here indefinitely, right? We should not spoil our energy in building mighty industries and cities to further entrap ourselves in material nature. Rather, our energy should be used to develop Krishna consciousness in order to attain a spiritual body whereby we may enter into Krishna's planet. Krishna consciousness is not a religious formula or some spiritual recreation. It is the most important part of the living entity. So here we end the third chapter of the book Beyond Birth and Death. Chapter number 4, The Sky Beyond the Universe. Even if even if the higher planets in this universe are subject to birth and death, why do great yogis strive for elevation to them? So now, as a common man who has no idea about the spiritual world and about the spiritual life, he may try by his scientific advancement different methods. He may try to go to different planets, right? But what about the yogis? They are in knowledge. But why are they trying to go to different planets? Although they may have many mystic powers, these yogis still have the tendency to want to enjoy the facilities of material life. Although the yogis performing great tapasyas, penances, austerities, sitting in the cold places like Himalayas, they still have the tendency to enjoy the facilities of material world. That is why they want to go to the higher planets, because in the higher planets the the proportion of misery is less compared to the earth. So that is why they want to enjoy better facilities, going to the elevating themselves to other planets. On a higher planets, it is possible to live for incredibly long lifetimes. The time calculation on these planets is indicated by Shri Krishna. Sahasra yuga paryantam aharyad brahmano viduh ratrim yuga sahasrantam teho ratra vido janah. Sahasra yuga paryantam aharyad brahmano viduh. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of Brahma's one day. 1,000 ages. One yuga, and there is rotation of circle of four yugas: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. This makes one Mahayuga. And like this, 1,000 Mahayugas makes one day of Brahma. Such also is the duration of night. One yuga covers 43 lakh. One yuga covers 43 lakh years. That is the combination of Kali Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Satya Yuga. Combined, because Kali Yuga is 4,32,000 years, Dwapar Yuga is 8,64,000, then Treta Yuga is 12,96,000, and Satya Yuga is 17,28,000 years. Altogether, if you add all these four numbers, you get 43 lakh years. So one Mahayuga covers 43 lakh years, and that is one day of Brahma. This number multiplied by 1,000 is calculated to be 12 hours of Brahma on the planet Brahmaloka. Similarly, another 12-hour period covers the night. 30 such days equal a month, 12 months a year, and Brahma lives for 100 such years. Life on such a planet is indeed long. Yet, even after trillions of years, the inhabitants of Brahmaloka have to face death. Though they live such long years, still they have to face death. Unless we go into the spiritual planets, there is no escape from death. Avyaktaad vyaktayah sarvaha prabhavantyahar ratriagame praliyante tatraiva vyakta samyake. When Brahma's day is manifest, when Brahma's day is manifest, this multitude of living entities comes into being, and at the arrival of Brahma's night, they are all annihilated. At the end of the day of Brahma, all all lower planetary systems are covered with water, and the beings on them are annihilated. After this devastation and after the night of Brahma passes, in the morning when Brahma arises, there is again creation and all these beings come forth. Thus, subjection to creation and destruction in the nature of the material world. Bhutagramah sa evayam bhutva praliyate ratriagame avashah partha prabhavatyahar. Again and again the day comes, and the host of and this host of beings is active, and again the night falls, O Partha, and they are helplessly dissolved. Although the living entities do not like devastation, that devastation will come and overflood the planets until all living beings on the planet stay merged in water throughout the night of Brahma. But as the day comes, the water gradually disappears. So just like how we are speaking, night falls and day comes. It is not as easy as the our days are passing and night is coming, then again day comes, again night comes. No, it is speaking about Brahma's day and night. Please remember this. Brahma's day is 43 lakh years into 1000, and same is the night. Then Krishna says, Parastasmatu bhavonyo avyakto vyaktat sanatanah yah sa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. Parastasmatu bhavonyo. So this world at the end, when Brahma's day ends, there is devastation. Everything gets submerged in water. And when Brahma again wakes up in the next morning, again the creation starts. And again Brahma goes to sleep, again there is devastation. Again there is creation, again there is devastation. Now Krishna next in this verse says, there is a place where there is no devastation. It remains as it is. Parastasmatu bhavo anyo. Apart from this material world, where there is repeatedly creation and destruction, birth and death, birth and death. Beyond this, paraha, beyond this, there is another nature. Bhava means nature. Parastasmatu bhavo anyo. Vyakta avyaktat sanatanaha. That abode, that bhava, that nature is sanatanaha. It is eternal. It is beyond vyakta and avyakta, manifested and unmanifested, manifested and unmanifested. That nature is eternal and it is beyond this manifested and unmanifested nature. Yahasa sarveshu bhuteshu nasyatsu na vinashyati. In here, yaha sa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu. Yeah, here all the jivas get killed, get devastated, get annihilated. But that sanatanaha, parastasmatu bhavo anyo sanatanaha na vinashyati. That is not annihilated. That is eternal. Yet there is another nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. We cannot calculate the extent of the material universe, but we have Vedic information that there are millions of universes within the entire creation, and beyond these material universes, there is another sky which is spiritual. All that there, all the planets are eternal, and the lives of all beings on them are eternal. In this verse, the word bhavaha means nature, and here another nature is indicated. In this world, we have experience also of two natures. The living entity is spirit, and as long as he is within matter, matter is moving. And as soon as the living entity, the spiritual spark is out of the body is immovable. The spiritual nature is called Krishna's superior nature, and the material is called the inferior. Beyond this material nature, there is superior nature, which is totally spiritual. It is not possible to understand this by experimental knowledge. We can see millions and millions of stars through a telescope, but we cannot approach them. We have to understand our incapabilities. If we cannot understand the material universe by experimental knowledge, what is the possibility of understanding God and His kingdom? It is not possible experimentally. We have to understand by hearing Bhagavad Gita. We cannot understand who our Father is by experimental knowledge. We have to hear the word of our mother and believe her. If if we do not believe her, there is no way of knowing. If we just stick to the Krishna conscious method, all information about Krishna and his kingdom will be revealed. Parastu bhavaha means superior nature, and avyaktaha refers to what we see manifested. We can see that the material universe is manifested through the earth, sun, stars, and planets. Beyond this universe is another nature, an eternal nature. Avyaktat Sanatana. This material nature has a beginning and an end, but that spiritual nature is Sanatana, eternal. It has neither beginning nor end. How is this possible? A cloud may pass over the sky and it may appear to cover a great distance, but actually it is only a small speck covering an insignificant part of the whole sky. Because we are so small, if only a few hundred miles is covered by cloud, it appears that the whole sky is covered. Right? We have this experience, practical experience. A small cloud is covering a small place, but for us, because we are too small, for us the cloud is covering the entire sky, but it is actually not. Similarly, this whole material universe is like a small, insignificant cloud in the vast spiritual sky. It is encased by the Mahat Tattva, matter. As a cloud has a beginning and an end, this material nature also has a beginning and an end. When the cloud disappears and the sky clears, we see everything as it is. Similarly, the body is like a cloud passing over the spirit soul. It stays for some time, gives some byproducts, dwindles, and then vanishes. There are six changes for a jiva from birth till death. Any kind of material phenomenon that we observe is subject to these six transformations of material nature. It comes into being, it comes into being, it grows, it stays for a while, it produces some byproducts, it dwindles, and it dies, then vanishes. Krishna indicates that beyond this changing cloud like nature, changing cloud like nature, there is a spiritual nature which is eternal. In addition, when this material nature is annihilated, that avyaktat sanatanaha will remain. So here we conclude today's session. We'll meet you again in the next reading session, continuing from here. Thank you all for joining. Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hari Krishna.